And speaking of Joe Rogan, CNN is trying to paint him and other podcasters as the new establishment that helped elect President Trump and saying Kamala 2024 run. But one of the comedians they interviewed is laughing off that idea.
Do you feel like you're part of a new establishment that's being created?
I don't think I'm part of a new establishment. If the idea is that me and a few comedians have more power than multi-billionaires, huge media institutions, a whole political party apparatus, I just don't think most people are going to buy that. I think it seems like a great way to excuse running an unpopular candidate on a platform that American people weren't sold on.
Very interesting. Greg, do you think Democrats are still missing the point? Joe Rogan was not born in a political lab. He's an original. He's authentic. He's got a brain like you. Like nobody can copy you, Greg. You cannot have a copy of Joe Rogan.
You know, here's the deal. Democrats should watch the Tim Dillon interview by the CNN reporter, Ellie Reeves, I think. Because you'll see two different mindsets. And the reporter is trapped in this rhetorical prison where every question she asks is, what was Elon thinking? What was J.D. Vance thinking? They are paralyzed. The left is paralyzed in this like default setting of mind reading. They think that they can read your mind. They know that you're having racist thoughts. You can't be serious when you said what you said. You really don't believe that, do you? This is a huge downfall for the left because as a filter to predict daily events, mind reading fails because you can't mind read. There's a classic piece of advice, and I would give it to everybody. What someone else is thinking is none of your business. Such a relief. Because if you resort to mind reading, you will always choose the wrong path because it's always the worst intention. It's like, Jesse doesn't like me. It's the person, the most.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. The most miserable person is the person that constantly goes, are you mad at me? What did I do? Did I do something? What's wrong? It's like, I wasn't even thinking about you. I was thinking about my dinner. So when you look at the most hysterical, miserable people on the left, the lonely, mentally unstable, they are assuming that they know everybody's faults. When Musk salutes, he's a Nazi. When Trump said fine people, he's a racist. When Trump said bloodbath, he meant violence. There are thousands of examples of this, and they're always wrong. Tim was incredibly patient with this. And all he kept saying to her is, I don't know what he was thinking. How would I know what he's thinking? That's how you deal with it.
So, Shannon, I mean, the Democrats are thinking that maybe it was their social media presence that didn't win them the elections. But Joe Rogan said they had him until they didn't.
And the thing is, they're right to recognize that these podcasters became super powerful. We saw the influence of them. But when you try to say, okay, let's go out in a lab, as you said, and create our person, our Joe Rogan of the left or whatever it is. First of all, these podcasters do not like the really powerful ones, popular ones, to be siloed. They're not all Republican. They're not all Democrat or liberal or conservative. They don't like to be pigeonholed at all. But you can't create something that younger people feel is authentic. Like you said, they want authenticity. That's what we keep hearing from young people. And if it's about who's out there shilling for you, the vice president, former vice president, had the biggest stars in all of culture. I mean, when you've got Oprah and Beyonce and all these people showing up for you, if that didn't work, that's not going to solve the problem. There's this Democratic data firm today called Catalyst that put out all of these terrible numbers of what happened to Democrats in the fall. They lost with younger voters, men, voters of color, infrequent voters. They said the results were so bad that for the first time since they've been crunching all this data, that younger, infrequent, and new voters who tend to shift to Democrats, they were at less than 50% in their support for the Democratic presidential candidate for the first time ever. So Democrats have a lot of things to soul search about. And I don't think creating, a podcast or look at the influencers they brought to the White House and how some of that really imploded.
So, I mean, Jesse, it wasn't just about Joe Rogan sitting down for 3 hours. He walked the UFC stadiums with Dana White. And don't forget, he spoke at the Al Smith dinner, one of the most important, influential group of Catholics in America, which the vice president missed. But she went on Call Me Daddy.
Yeah. Well, he went everywhere. She went nowhere. And he's not afraid of anybody. And she was afraid of her own staff. They had Rogan, they lost him, and there'll never be another Rogan. The guy had to go on Fear Factor and eat scorpions first. He had to do the comedy circuit, UFC, and then climbed the charts of podcasting. It took years to get there. There's no hidden, undiscovered liberal Rogan just waiting to be discovered. He's popular because he's really curious. And in the Democrat Party, curiosity killed the Democrat. You can't question authority if you're a Democrat, because the Democrats are the authority. You can't be a liberal podcaster and ask about the vaccine or who killed JFK. They did. They don't want to ask those questions. And that's what young men like. Young men like to seek the truth and challenge authority and be independent-minded. They don't want some guy saying, open borders are actually really good for you, and free speech, we just need to contain it. That sucks, and it's boring. And one piece of advice, stop calling it the manosphere. The minute you call it the manosphere, we know you're a fraud. It's just a bunch of guys talking.
Can I just add to that?
Yeah.
The problem with so-called male liberal podcasts, the voice.
Yeah, it's too high pitch.
There's no, it's still stuck in the beta NPR voice. Can't do it that way.
I
No
was
man
going to
like
say
that.
the Democrats, they still want to follow that old playbook as much as they say they want change.
I agree with a lot that's been said. What Democrats lack is authenticity. Let me read something to you. You could dig up dirt on every single human being that's ever existed if you catch them in their worst moment, and you magnify those moments, and you cut out everything else, and you only display those worst moments. You were saying a little bit of that about the paralysis of thought. That's what Joe Rogan said about Bernie Sanders 5 years ago. The reason Joe Rogan is so effective is because he's an individual. He's a person. He's a human being who's had thoughts 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and today, and a year ago, and 18 months ago. Democrats and Republicans. What Donald Trump has done, even to the Republican Party, he's upended the entire thing. And he went directly to people saying, you know what? We all want to judge ourselves on our best intentions and judge someone else on their absolute worst moment and make that the defining thing about that person. Donald Trump, whether you like him or not, he doesn't do that. I don't agree with him on everything, but he doesn't do that. And Joe Rogan doesn't do that. Democrats, you can't go out asking for money from donors and we're going to create. This is not an AI machine. You've got to figure out people who actually know what people are talking about, who know the feelings of people. And don't judge them because a year ago they said something that offended you. Or an hour ago they said something that offended you. Sit and listen to people. That's why Joe Rogan is such a powerful, powerful figure. And whether you call him the establishment or whether you don't call him that, and why Donald Trump has been so effective and successful as well.
Very nicely said.
My opening
Harold.
argument, and I rest now.
I like that. Very nice. All right, up next, Elon Musk makes a shocking announcement on his future in politics.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.